but I've put 150 rounds through this pistol and I've had not one single malfunction. And it actually has a really nice break. It's popping off shots, pointing the gun like a gangster. It's Hello everyone and welcome to the Magnum channel. Today we are going to be shooting a new gun. So I recently acquired this, and for those of you that don't recognize that gorgeous pistol right off the bat, this is a High Point. And this particular one, let's safety check it here. Alright, we're clear. This particular one is the 45 ACP. Not sure how much of that the camera's picking up. This is the High Point model JHP. I'm going to give you my first shots and impressions. Alright, we got 9 rounds in the magazine. High Point JHP, first shots. Shoots pretty good. Alright, we are empty. Okay, so this is the first on-camera group with the High Point JHP. Put the gun up against the group there. It's a pretty tight, it's about a 3.5 inch group at about 8 to 10 yards. I wasn't trying to be rock solid or anything, just popping off shots, but somebody tells you that this gun won't shoot. Man, this is at 8 or 10 yards, just shooting offhand, not even trying for great hits, so that just means they can't shoot. Be the second string of shots. We got 9 more rounds in the magazine. It does have a thumb safety right here, if you want the thumb safety. So won't shoot. Thumb safety off. Got him in the knee. Magazine switch. Empty. Magazine falls right out. You do have to kind of cram it in there. You got to put it in. If you just try to progressively push it in there, it gets a little tight. Right there, you kind of hit a wall, and you have to push it really hard, or you can just pop it in. But it locks back. For those of you who don't know, there's no thumb slide release there, so the only way to get the slide out on a High Point is to pull the magazine partially or all the way out. Let the slide go forward, pop it back in, and it has a trigger disconnect. There you go. Alright, I'll bring you over to the Jeep and talk a minute while I load you up. So, the magazines are single stack. They hold about 9 rounds apiece. I think that's the actual spec. They're not difficult to load. They're pretty easy to load compared to a Glock magazine or just about any other magazine. So you can pretty easily just push down with your thumb and start the next round in. Like I said in the tabletop review, the trigger is not that bad at all, especially when you're shooting quickly. The trigger is fairly serviceable, and overall the gun is very, it's pretty large, but it doesn't hit me as being overly large. So I don't mind that too much. Plus, I feel like a lot of people, for most people, that especially with the 45, they're not really going to be carrying this gun per se. unless maybe they're carrying it with their tactical loadout gear or something, but most people are not going to be concealed carrying this gun or anything like that. So, oops, topped that one off already. So, since they're not going to really be concealed carrying this gun, I feel like, the size and weight aren't as important. Now, this may not be the best woods gun or something like that. Obviously, a 1911 is probably about as heavy and actually holds one less round, I think. Or, yeah. But, for what it is, I think it's a pretty serviceable gun. The recoil feels pretty good in the hand. It's not too heavy. And, all right, got them all back loaded up again. All right, I got you set up here on the 10-yard line. We're going to see if we can get 4 bowling pins plus the cowboy. Two with one shot. Okay, so now what I'm going to try doing is point shooting the high point, and you guys are just going to have to take my word for it. There's no great way to look at me and be able to tell that I'm point shooting, so I'm not going to be shooting, from the hip necessarily. It's still point shooting. So a video that is to come yet, but I'm not doing today necessarily, is on my version of point shooting. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to look over the top of the gun, kind of like that, and you're just going to look at the slide, and right now you can just see the back of the gun lowered down a little bit there. You're going to look at the slide, you're going to look where the slide's pointed. It's kind of like pointing a gun in a video game, and this is kind of a similar thing. You're looking over the top of the slide, and pointing the gun with the muzzle, essentially. So let's give that a shot. For this exercise, I'm going to be shooting at 7 yards, which is the maximum distance for self-defense with a firearm, even though this isn't really it could be a home defense firearm. It's not really a personal defense firearm because I don't know who in the world would be carrying this. But I'm just going to look over the top of the sights. We're going to point shoot the top target, 7 yards. Okay, so that maybe wasn't the tightest group in the world, but considering that this is a high point 45 ACP from 7 yards, basically the first time I've ever tried this, just popping off shots, pointing the gun like a gangster at 7 yards, I think that would have stopped whoever was attacking me. One other thing that's kind of nice about this gun is that the slide is not overly hard to chamber or rack around into batteries. So when you're just going to rack around in, I find it's easier. I got big hands, easier just to grab the whole slide. But they put these little serrations on there. You can grab the front of the gun. I usually kind of grab it right in the middle somewhere, but it is actually fairly easy just to chunk one in. Okay, and we're going to finish off with a triple tap. That is the alpha zone right there. That is the alpha zone from CMP, that rectangular target. I'm going to finish up with 3 fast ones as quick as I can get them onto the alpha zone, 7 yards. Only got 2. We'll save the last shot of the day, cowboy. Okay guys, well that about wraps it up for the day. And I hope you guys have had as much fun watching this video as I've had making this video. At the end of the day, my first impressions of this gun are that it really is a decent gun for the money. So for $150, it's kind of hard to beat the simplicity and the functional or operational functioning, whatever you want to say, of the high point model JHP 45 ACP. So if you're looking for a cheap 45 ACP, there are lots of good used models out there. Okay, so don't just necessarily run out. I'm not telling you to run out and grab a high point, but their customer service is good. I think we all know that. These have been hyped up on the internet enough to know the customer service is good. We've all seen Eric and Barry over on Iraq Veteran 8888 torture the high point C9. They tortured the 9mm and they just tortured it and tortured it and tortured it. So these things are tough. These things are tough, even though the slides are big and heavy and chunky. They feel like they're made out of cast iron. They're very tough. They're very functional pistols, guys. I have put now 150 rounds, which, you know, isn't that much, but I've put 150 rounds through this pistol, and I've had not one single malfunction. Okay, so the first time, you know, usually a pistol is going to malfunction within the first couple hundred rounds, or the first 50 rounds, whatever you want to say. For those of you who believe in a break-in period, this gun didn't have one. Straight out of the box without a cleaning. I've never cleaned it. I've never done anything to it. All I did was put ammo in the thing, and it's ran 100%. The sights are spot on from the factory. As of today's date, guys, other than the ergonomics of the gun and the obvious drawbacks of the gun, I don't have anything negative to say about it. It shoots where I point it, and if you can control the trigger, you can actually take out the creep. It's going to lock back on me. You can actually take out the creep, and it actually has a really nice break. It's not bad at all. You can really pull out that creep, and it has a very nice break. A break equally as good as a Glock. Glocks are not known for having phenomenal triggers, but I've shot a lot of Glocks, and this gun, once you pull out the creep, or even if you're shooting fast, the triggers is, I think, every bit as good as a Glock. So that's what I have to say about it for now, guys. Hopefully there'll be an updated video coming on. I might do a takedown. I might do something else with it. But for now, for 150 bucks, this is a lot of gun. This is a lot of gun for the money now. You know, if you're going to use it for home defense, of course, always go out and test it. You know, shoot 200, 300, 500 rounds through it. Be sure that it's functioning, very reliable for you. I don't necessarily, personally, this isn't my home defense weapon. This isn't going to be a carry gun for me. So I bought this gun to use as a range fun, maybe some competition shoots with it, bowling pin matches, and ammo testing. So for me, this is kind of a multifunctional range gun. This isn't really a defensive weapon, but even if this was your defensive weapon and this is what you can afford, this would do very nicely. Just be sure that you test it, because if it is going to malfunction, you're going to want to have at least 500 rounds through it and know that it's going to run reliably for you. But this one so far, straight out of the box, has done nothing but awesome. That's about it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.